Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and I wanted to do this video quick because in about 45 minutes they're going to be starting the hearing on the Clinton Foundation case study, and if you haven't seen that video, I have a video on that. I don't know what's going to come up during that. I don't know if they're going to introduce the testimony of the whistleblowers or what, but I do know that there's going to be some interesting discussion and some very eye-opening questions that will be asked, I'm sure, because we have the Democrats very upset about this whole idea that they're questioning the Clinton Foundation and not questioning the Trump Foundation. Now, I want to thank Lisa for giving me the link in the comments to the letter that the Democrats wrote. So I'll put the link down below. I've also put it in the description for that video now. But the whole letter is basically, if you're going to do this to the Clintons, you better do it to Trump too. That's what it is. And it's talking about Whitaker and the FACT organization, and they're just basically grasping at straws, which is what I kind of figured it was about, but I don't know how I missed it. I did, though. Thank you again, Lisa, for finding that for me and posting it. Thank you so much. Then I came across this while I was looking at C-SPAN, because the Clinton thing is going to be on C-SPAN, and I came across this clip. I want to play it for you. I think Jim Jordan does a good job of exposing what's really going on when it comes to this whole fetal tissue thing. Because the basic facts say that we don't need to experiment on fetal tissue. We can achieve the same results through other means. And that's what this whole thing is about in this whole hearing. And I think Jordan does a really good job of summing this up. So let me just play it for you, and then I'll come in at the end and tie it all up.
Adult stem cells have been
How many
used
successful
for decades.
How many successful fetal stem cell successes would you say we have today?
I can talk about Truvada, which is important for preventing HIV passage. I can talk about the development of retinoblastoma drugs, and also retinosis.
And those are successes, is what you're saying?
These are in progress.
I thought some of those were still in clinical trials.
They are in progress, but they are successful.
So how do you know whether listen, I know clinical trials. If they haven't finished the clinical trial, how can you say they're successful, Dr. Temple?
Because there is
it's sworn
progress.
testimony. I want to make sure that you understand that.
Oh, successful, I mean successful in terms of progress.
Okay, all right. I'll recognize the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Lee, 20 years you've been in this field. Looking at your resume, Medical College of Wisconsin, which I appreciate as a UW graduate myself. PhD in biochemistry, trained at Harvard Medical School, Boston Children's Hospital. Pretty impressive. You know what you're talking about, don't you?
I believe I do.
Yeah, I do too. And you said in your testimony, we do not need fetal body parts from aborted babies to achieve future scientific and medical advancements. You stand by what you said in your testimony, right?
I do.
And you also said after 100 years of research, directly to where the chairman was with Dr. Temple, you said after over 100 years of research, no therapies have been discovered or developed that require aborted fetal tissue. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And yet, taxpayers are given money paying for this fetal tissue every single year. Is that true?
That's true.
Let's start with Planned Parenthood. You know how much money Planned Parenthood gets from taxpayers in a year's time? Do you happen to know?
They get about $500 million.
It is about $500 million. Several million directly, and then some of that, of course, is Medicaid funding as well. How much is the government paying for fetal tissue research?
Approximately $100 million.
$100 million a year we're paying for fetal tissue research, and how much of that is involved with actual experimentation on the fetal tissue?
20 million. Approximately 20 million if you look at NIH contracts.
About 20 million, okay. And that's NIH, that's not HHS, that's NIH.
That's correct.
Okay. Is some of that 100 million, some of that 20 million, is some of it actually used to purchase the fetal tissue?
That money is going to be used to purchase the fetal tissue.
And I think with Mr. Congressman Heiss earlier, you said it's not a direct purchase though, right?
It's
In other
not.
words, so let me just, I just want to understand it and make it as simple terms as we can. Planned Parenthood is is taking the life of unborn children. Planned Parenthood then, or other abortion providers, sell the tissue to some company. and then the government then buys it from that company. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
And who are some of those companies? I think you mentioned some names in your...
A couple of them are ABR and Stem Cell Express.
ABR and Stem Cell Express. Any chance those companies were involved? There's some somewhat now famous videos that Planned Parenthood had. They didn't have, but they were about them a few years ago. Stem Cell Express and ABR, were they involved in any of those videos of Planned Parenthood a few years ago that somewhat now well known?
They are. They were absolutely. They were shown. Their question as to whether there was profit actually being made, and because there were actual records that they were only paying approximately $60 to Planned Parenthood or other abortion providers to get the fetus, and then they would turn it around and then they would sell it to investigators and make much more money than that.
So I just want to be clear again. So those videos that we saw that we were all repulsed by, that were disgusting, all kinds of this cavalier attitude that were people at Planned Parenthood were talking about, when they were doing that, talking in those transactions, it was with those companies you just said, Stem Express and ABR.
Yes.
Okay. So again, here's how it works. Taxpayer dollars, our constituents' tax money is going to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood then provides abortion services. When they then sell fetal tissue to Stem Express, ABR, and companies like those who were involved in those videos that we saw, and then the government then takes taxpayer dollars and buys the fetal tissue from those companies.
That's correct.
To do research that has not in 100 years provided anything, what was your words? In over 100 years, no therapies have been discovered or developed that require aborted fetal tissue.
That's correct.
And all we're asking is, let's go with the alternatives, which you have said are actually better.
That's correct.
Well, that's as simple as it gets, right?
Yes, it does.
I mean, you can't make it any plainer than that. Taxpayers are paying on the front end for something that many of the folks I get the privilege of representing just think is absolutely wrong, giving money to Planned Parenthood, which is taking the life of unborn kids, and then they're paying on the back end for the very tissue that was used in a practice that they don't approve of to get results that can be achieved with alternatives. And according to your 20 years in this field, after 100 years of this kind of research, no discovery, nothing, no therapies have been discovered or developed that require the actual use of fetal tissue.
That's correct.
Well, this is pretty simple.
It is.
I mean, shoot, Chairman, we can stop. We got it right here. I'm sure there are other people who have questions, but that is as plain as it gets, right?
That's right.
Taxpayers, something they don't like, both on the front end and back end, are paying for it, and we do not need the fetal body parts from aborted babies to achieve scientific and medical achievements because we have alternatives that can do it.
That's right.
I'm glad you came, Dr. Lee, and more importantly, I appreciate the work you've done now for over 20 years in this.
So there you have it. But obviously the Democrats are not wanting to believe that witness. They are trying their best to interview some of the other witnesses and to get them to say, well, it's the only way we can accomplish these things is through fetal tissue. No, it's really not. The evidence is there to support we do not need to do this kind of research on fetal tissue. It can be done in other ways, and we don't have to use fetal tissue for it. But this is the whole part of the Planned Parenthood thing. Now, because of the topic of this video, I'm like really sure this is going to be demonetized. But that's okay because this information needs to get out there. But it also means when they're demonetized that they don't get the airplay. So that means you need to share this video. Let people know what Jordan has been saying and what he brought up with this expert witness. She confirms it, that they do not need to be using fetal tissue. So let's get this out there, see if we can stop this practice because it's just barbaric. And if you watch my other video, Why Young Blood, you may get an idea why the left pushes abortion so much. So anyway, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you later.